A flute is nothing but a piece of bamboo, a hollow reed, empty inside, no color, no decoration, and yet, in its emptiness, something remarkable happens. The moment breath enters it, music is born. The most delicate sounds, the purest vibrations. They emerge, not despite the flute's emptiness, but because of it. Kabir, the mystic poet, saw through symbols. He wasn't merely talking about a musical instrument. He was pointing at you, at the human soul, at the truth we avoid, that only when we become empty, the divine breath can flow through us. We spend our lives trying to be full of opinions, full of knowledge, full of identity, ambition, certainty. We try to fill the void, afraid that to be hollow is to be weak. But Kabir knew something else. He knew the void was sacred. A flute cannot sing if it is clogged, if it is filled with debris, if it's stuffed with pride, fear, resistance. The music cannot pass. And isn't it the same with us? The ego clings to form. It builds walls and labels. It says, I am this, I am that, I know, I control, I need. And in doing so, it chokes the breath of existence. We forget that we were never meant to be the sound, only the vessel. The moment we surrender our need to be someone, life begins to sing through us, a song we do not compose, a melody not born of effort but of deep allowing. It's not an easy thing to be empty. It takes courage, because emptiness feels like death to the ego, but to the soul, it is home. When you become like the flute, open, transparent, silent, and grace moves through you, then what is beautiful, effortless, and eternal can finally be heard. There is a reason why most people spend their entire lives avoiding emptiness. We associate it with loss, with lack, with being less than. We fear that if we are not full of stories, memories, possessions, and plans, we are nothing. But ask yourself, have these layers of accumulation ever truly satisfied you? A closet overflowing with clothes, and still we feel bare. A calendar packed with appointments, and still we feel unimportant. A mind busy with thoughts, and still we feel lost. We were taught that to be someone is to have more knowledge, more status, more identity. But Kabir flips the narrative. He says it is because the flute is empty that it can sing. And so with us. It is because we are willing to become no one that we can truly be touched by life. To be empty is not to be useless. It is to be receptive. The sky is useful because it is open. The bowl is useful because it is hollow. The door is useful because there is a space in it that allows movement. Likewise, when we empty ourselves of pride, of the need to defend, to prove, to project, we become open to something far greater than ourselves. We become like a window through which light passes, or a flute through which breath becomes music. But how do we reach that state? Not by trying, not by effort or discipline in the way the mind understands it, but by surrender, by seeing the futility of clinging, by realizing that nothing we hold onto is truly ours, that all things we think we are, the name, the form, the story, the wounds, the pride, are passing. And once we see this, really see it, we don't need to fight anymore. We release, and that release is emptiness. Not a cold emptiness, but a luminous one. an emptiness that is alive, alert, and full of quiet knowing. It is the sacred space that allows love to flow, creativity to arise, truth to be heard. When we no longer resist this state, we find it was not absence we were fearing, but presence itself. When a musician picks up the flute, they do not ask the flute to perform. They simply breathe into it, and the flute, being hollow, lets the breath become sound. This is the role of the human being in its truest sense, not the performer, not the controller, but the surrendered instrument through which life plays its music. Yet most people live their lives trying to compose the music themselves. They think, plan, control, predict, never realizing that their interference is what disrupts the harmony. What Kabir and other mystics point toward is the possibility of being played by life instead of trying to play life like an object. To allow ourselves to become so still, so empty, that we no longer block the current, but flow with it. But emptiness is not passivity, it is not numbness, it is attunement, just as the flute is carefully shaped to allow the right notes to arise. The inner life must be purified, not by force, but by silence. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of noise, the noise of mental chatter, of inner resistance, of self-image. In silence, the ego has nothing to grasp, and in that stillness, the truth has space to sing. To become like the flute is to stop insisting, to stop pushing against what is. It is to meet each moment as it arises, without trying to mold it into something else. This is a radical shift. It means giving up our idea of what should be and listening, truly listening to what is. And from that listening, action arises, plays itself. You don't need to know how to respond. You don't need to rehearse your lines. When you are empty, life speaks through you. The response comes from the whole, not the part, from the vast intelligence of being, not the narrow lens of self-interest. And in that there is peace, there is beauty, there is the quiet joy of knowing that you are no longer separate from life. You are its voice, not the singer, but the song itself. True power is not in assertion, but in receptivity, in being so present, so unoccupied by thought or image, that existence can echo through you without distortion. The hollow flute sings not by trying, but by allowing. Likewise, the hollow human, the one who has dropped the burden of identity, the one who no longer clings to what they should be, becomes a vessel for something timeless. Kabir wasn't asking us to disappear. He was inviting us to stop blocking the music. We block it with ambition. We block it with fear. We block it with comparison, judgment, with the endless compulsion to become someone. But life isn't asking for someone. It's asking for space. It's asking, can you be so still that love passes through you? Can you be so open that compassion breathes through your words? Can you be so empty that the whole universe moves with your gestures? The flute does not resist, and so it sings. In spiritual practice, we often chase experiences, visions, ecstasies, peace, but all of these are just melodies. The real work is to become the instrument, to become that which they can arise in freely without grasping. And here is the paradox. The more we try to be spiritual, the more noise we create. The more we surrender, the more natural the sacred becomes. You don't have to add anything. You only have to let go. Let go of the idea of yourself. Let go of the story you tell in your head. Let go of the effort to fix, to be better, to arrive. And suddenly, you're already home, and the music begins. There's a silence within you, deeper than emotion, deeper than thought. It's not something you create, it's what you are. You were never the one controlling the melody. You were always the flute. Empty, still, awake, and ready to sing.